What's up, y'all? I'm Rich Slayton, caster for Clash Royale League West, and these are my picks for Fantasy Royale for Week 5 in the Western region. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and use code RICH in all your Supercell shop purchases to support me. And if you don't support me, support one of the creators in the Supercell universe. It helps out a whole lot. Today, we're talking about Fantasy Royale, making our picks. What are the players to pick up? Who are the players to avoid this week? And what's the best way to maximize those crowns to move up those rankings? Those of you who are used to my channel are like, Rich, what's up with the vertical video? This one is being made this way to be better for those people who are getting this in-game today for Clash Royale. So hope you enjoy watching this on your phone or tablet. A little bit different here. And let's start with the most important thing, looking at the schedule, because you know you got to pick those players who are appearing twice in the same week. Every week, two teams get double hitters. This week is really interesting because one of our double headers is Team Queso, the other is Dignitas, and they play each other in the first match of the weekend. This would make it seem like it's a wash between these two, but I'm going to show you why it's not, especially because Queso has Chivas next and Dig has Pain. So I think there's some big opportunities here. We're going to pick some players who you might not expect from one of these two teams. We'll talk about that one later, and then, of course, we'll look at the other matchups, Liquid versus Tribe, Cream versus Space Station. And then, of course, the final one, SK versus Misfits. I have good picks for all of these. Let's start by talking about Dignitas. One of the top players to pick, of course, would be Bale. Bale's doing great right now with 9 total crowns. That's 1 crown per win, by the way. He has got 9 wins so far, but I'm going to avoid him this week because he gets his wins primarily, 6 of those 9 in the 1v1 set, beating Pedro, Igor, and Adrian Piedra. But this weekend, he has the number 1 guy in the game in Rubén, if they make it to the 1v1 set. And then against Pain Gaming, he's going to face either Lucas or Vitor. So it's kind of a tough overall outing for Bale in 1v1. I'm going to say avoid Bale and pick the crown leader for Dignitas. That's Código, their 2v2 specialist. Código gets a great 2v2 matchup against a struggling 2v2 duo in Benihu and Kuchiku, and then gets a who knows what when he goes up against Pain Gaming in 2v2, which looked better last weekend when they put Lucas into the 2v2, but still it looks like he might have the advantage. Código, I think, has a very good chance of winning both 2v2 sets, should win at least one of them, which gives you a few crowns, and has been in every single King of the Hill lineup so far for his team. So Código is the pick from Dignitas. For Team Queso, a lot of people are flirting with picking Kuchiku as one of their 4 picks this week. I really don't like that pick overall. I think that Kuchiku could go ahead and have an overall good weekend, but I think that the statistics don't really support that very much, and neither does the play from him and his 2v2 partner, Benihu, really support that either. I actually give Dignitas the advantage in 2v2. They're performing much better. I think Dig wins that 2v2, and then you go into Chivas Esports where you have Diego B and Pompeo playing very well in that opening set. I think it's very likely that Team Queso loses both 2v2 sets, that Benihu and Kuchi could go 0-2 or 1-1, and I give that like a 50% chance of going 0-2 and a 40% chance of going 1-1, and that leaves a 10% chance of winning both of those sets. I don't think Kuchiku is a good pick here because of the 2v2 weakness for Team Queso, and they have 2 pretty good opponents. Of course, who do you have to pick? You have to pick Rubén. And why do you have to pick Rubén? Well, first of all, he's dominating everybody at the moment. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. It's insane the number he's putting up. So far, he's won game after game after game, and a lot of that is because he's doing double duty, both in the King of the Hill and the 1v1. He's the game overall win leader, or at least he's tied for game leader right now at 14 with xopxsam. He's putting up a pile of crowns, and because Benny and Kuchi are probably going to lose both 2v2s, he's going to make an appearance in the King of the Hill, and will probably play 1v1 in both of those sets. He is the best pick overall in Fantasy Royale, and especially because his team is playing twice this weekend. And as long as we're talking about players who are leading overall in total game wins this season, you have to talk about SK Gaming's xopxsam. SK Gaming has so many great options of who to pick to put into Fantasy Royale. It's almost crippling in a certain way. You look at Javi 14, you look at Morten, and you look at Sam, and it's how do you even pick who goes in where? Well, for me, Sam is the number one pick for a number of reasons. Number one, he's going to play 2v2 with Morten, and they're both going to do great. They're going to have a fun time together. They're going to kill it. But number two, he has been in every single King of the Hill lineup since that first week where they put Sergio Ramos in instead of Sam. And since then, he's been killer. He got a King of the Hill sweep over, yeah, that's right, Tribe Gaming, TNT, Buffmac, and Jupiter King. He's tied for most games won on the season, and right now he's been going number one or number two in the King of the Hill lineup, with Morten being the cleanup hitter in the King of the Hill lineup. So Sam will most likely, unless Javi comes out and sweeps like he did last week against Space Station, Sam will most likely get at least one King of the Hill shot every single week, whereas Morten might not see any head-to-head play because he goes in that number 3 spot in King of the Hill. So Sam is my next pick to round out that Fantasy Royale lineup. So then we get to the question of who do you pick last, right? Who's that final player? Who do you put in to that number 4 spot? The other 3 picks I think are pretty clear. You have to pick Rubén. Cody Go is the best pick in my opinion from Dig, and xopxsam is crushing it right now. So who goes in number 4? Well, before we do that, let's talk about who doesn't go in number 4. Who are some really good picks who I would say maybe avoid this week? Chivas Esports has a couple good players. You can even see the flames on them right now in Diego B and Pompeo, who've both been good. And I picked Diego B last week, and you can see both of them are pretty good on total crowns at 12 for both. I'm not picking either one of these two this week because their matchup is against Team Queso. I favor Chivas in this 2v2, but you just don't know what that's going to be. If it's going to be just 2 crowns, is it going to be 4 crowns? We don't know for sure. And then you get into the King of the Hill. I just don't think that Chivas gets past King of the Hill. I think that Diego B is a pretty good pick here, but not a great pick, which is why I'm going to avoid him this week. You get into Cream Royale Bettis, who have historically been phenomenal. You see St. Belikin and Michifu, 2 of the crown leaders overall in this tournament. And Belly is a great pick. Michifu is a great pick in general, but they're playing against Space Station Gaming. I do give Cream Royale Bettis the 2v2 advantage, which is crazy to say. I do give them the advantage here against Space Station, but I still think that Space Station has the advantage in the King of the Hill, or at least it's too much of a toss-up. So I think that Belly and Michifu this week are sits, even though generally they're both pretty safe plays. So then your other popular pick is the God RF, right? And he's been great, 12 crowns so far. But the same reason why I'm avoiding Belly and Michifu is the reason why I'm avoiding RF. It's just too unpredictable of a matchup. You don't know what RF is going to get out of the 2v2. He and AC have lost 2 sets together out of the 3 that they've played, which isn't a great sign. And then you're putting a lot on RF in the King of the Hill set, in a set where he goes up against Michifu and Belly and maybe Pedro, depending on how Pedro's feeling or not. It just feels like it's a situation where RF could come out with some good crowns, but is just as likely to come out with maybe 1 or 2 from the entire weekend. Not a great pick this time around just because of the unpredictability. Team Liquid has let me down a lot this season when it comes to Fantasy Royale. I've picked Razor a bunch because I thought that he and whoever he was playing 2v2 with would get it together. They haven't, and today's not the day either. They're not going to beat Tribe Gaming in 2v2. Buff and Azelias are too good. And I'm not going to pick Igor either because the King of the Hill they have to go through is so nasty. Sure, Sam showed that you can beat this crazy Tribe Gaming King of the Hill. I don't think that happens here for Igor. We're going to go for a complete pass on Team Liquid. So that sets us up for our final pick, and if you haven't guessed yet, I think it's pretty clear who the best pick is to round out the Fantasy Royale this weekend. The other teams, I think, we've kind of covered what the matchups will be. This one, though, we're going to Tribe Gaming. We're going with their crown leader, Buffmac. The 2v2 advantage for Buffmac and Azelias is astounding here, despite the troubles that Tribe has had in their last 2 matches, and you got to know that they feel like they need to win this one, and they want to win this one. It can be difficult to pick Buffmac because he has been sat against Liquid in the past. I don't think that happens here. He's been in their King of the Hill lineup a whole bunch. My suspicion here is that Buff and Azelias come out and absolutely destroy the 2v2, and then Buffmac comes out again in the King of the Hill and gets at least 1 or 2 wins, depending on where they put him in the lineup. So Buff's a nice pick here. he's out for blood. He smells blood on the water because Team Liquid is struggling right now, and I think this is a big opportunity for Boof to kind of put Liquid behind him and take a big step forward for Tribe Gaming. So here you go. This is my fantasy team for the week. Everyone in double-digit crowns. 2 players who are doing double headers in Rubén and Codigo, who I expect will both walk away with some good numbers. Sam, who has a real big upside this week and could completely destroy it. And then Boofmac, who I think is the best choice out of what we had left to look at, and I think should have a pretty good weekend unless he gets benched by Sean Kim going up against Team Liquid, and that's always a danger. But given all the rest of the matchups, I think this is the strongest lineup you can go with this weekend. So that's going to be my fantasy pick. Let's hit done, confirm that, and there we go. That's it for the picks this week, guys. Hope you got some insight there. Let me know if you did anything different, what you're going with, right? Like, this is a crazy weekend. Andrew's been kicking me in the face over and over again with these ones, so maybe he'll come out better than I will. But I'm really confident in these picks. I think they're good, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend to watch. Don't forget to watch 10 a.m. in the West, 1 p.m. in the East, 7 p.m. in Central Europe on the official Clash Royale Esports YouTube page. I'll put that in the show notes as well. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. Subscribe right here so you don't miss any great esports content for Clash Royale, whether it be best of fives, open tournaments, the big things like the upcoming CWA Cup, things like that. Those are all right here on my channel, the best place for Clash Royale esports.